Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We're very excited to have you join us at the ADX. Today, we've got a guest based in Abu Dhabi. He is the interim CEO of Zodia Markets, Nick Philpott. Nick, thank you very much for joining us today. So, Zodia Markets relocated to Abu Dhabi just 2 years ago. What was it about the region here and sort of hub of Abu Dhabi that's attracted you?
So Zodia Markets originally established itself in the UK, London. You can tell from my accent where I'm from. And as one of the world's largest stablecoin distributors and brokerages, it's very, very important to us to have credible regulations and credible licenses to back us up and to give us that authenticity that a lot of institutions are looking for. And Abu Dhabi for us really gave us almost, it's like a Goldilocks market. Not only does it have a very credible regulator with a good set of principles-led or principle-based regulations, but also it's a good jurisdiction to run a small business, to run a fintech. Everything's very easy to set up and things like that. It's a very good talent pool as well, very diverse one, very cosmopolitan population, lots of nationalities, lots of experience and things like that. And then last but not least, and critically, you're able to get access to banking here, which is still something that many jurisdictions struggle with when it comes to digital assets. And that's really holding back a lot of their markets.
Fascinating. So Zodia Markets, it's now regulated in ADGM as a virtual asset brokerage. So from a market structure perspective, what does ADGM, in your opinion, get right from a licensing and supervision standpoint? What is it about ADGM that gives institutional clients comfort with locating here?
Well, I think though, if you look at some of the other jurisdictions that license crypto, they tend to be quite offshore places, often small islands, that sort of milieu. ADGM offers a major financial center, maybe not, it's not necessarily as big as a New York or a London perhaps, but it has that sort of perfect scale. So big enough so that you get recognized and you get the attention from a regulator that you're looking for. You don't just get stuck in a queue and have to wait for ages to get something processed, so you can move quickly. But then also it's a regulator that it itself has managed to bring a lot of experience from other jurisdictions around the world, operates under English law, which is very easy for a firm such as ours to cope with as well. And it's not a pushover, which is also important. You want someone who's going to be able to challenge you, but have a degree of flexibility. Our business model is not one that I think many regulators have contemplated, a crypto brokerage that's majority owned by a major international bank. So there's a little bit of square peg round hole perhaps, but we found the FSRA here in ADGM absolutely fantastic in terms of, okay, that's a little unusual, let us take that away. They came back with ideas, worked for everyone, and we were able to move quickly and with purpose to get our license here.
Amazing. So now talking a little bit about where we're based. So Abu Dhabi really serving, obviously GCC and Middle East, but also Africa. Yep. So it's a gateway for institutional investors. What is it about this area in terms of adoption and the actual specific use cases that you can actually find problems that need to be solved?
Well, Zodia Markets is one of the most active brokers of stablecoins in the world. Stablecoins is a form of tokenized cash. So just think of it as cash that acts or behaves much more like email or instant messaging. It's available 24/7, and the settlement speeds, as in the speed at which it moves from A to B, cross borders or within borders, can be measured in seconds or minutes, which compares very favorably with bank transfers. Now, over the course of the last 10 to 20 years, correspondent banking, which is sort of that network of banks that allows you to move funds cross-border, has actually been retreating to the extent that in some jurisdictions, access to dollar rails or to dollar settlement, dollar banking has become harder and harder and harder. And so we've seen stablecoins and digital assets expand into that vacuum. And the most affected by this withdrawal of correspondent banking, the jurisdictions, particularly in the Middle East, Africa, it tends to be the global south and emerging markets. And so with ADGM and Abu Dhabi's position almost at that nexus, that crossroads, if you like, between Africa, the Middle East, the Caucasus, Central Asia, it's an absolutely fantastic hub in terms of time zone and talent as well. So you can hire a lot of people who come from a lot of these regions. So as a way of establishing a base and projecting yourself out into those markets, it's hard to beat.
And Zodia Markets is one of the first bank-backed crypto brokerages, which really is kind of incredible. So it's got very strong roots. Obviously, Standard Chartered is backing Zodia Markets, very strong traditional finance DNA in your company. How does that create advantages for you, and specifically with Abu Dhabi as your hub?
I think with a lot of people, digital assets has become wrapped up with this sort of cult of personality, CZ, Sam Bankman-Fried, things like that. Plus also lots of the scandals that often land on the front page of the Financial Times or other news sources. And so a lot of people don't really know, right, how do I separate the wood from the trees? I suspect there's some utility here, but how do I avoid the landmines, the pitfalls, the bear traps, whatever you want to call it? So having that bank backing, the credibility of a bank that here in the United Arab Emirates has been here since 1958, so pre-independence, really is able to very, very quickly and easily give customers, particularly institutional customers, that heuristic. They can just go, okay, I can see the Standard Chartered logo, I understand the pedigree. This gives me that comfort to take that first step with a technology that I'm not particularly familiar with. And that's frankly a lot of what we're trying to do, which is just make the unfamiliar familiar.
Fascinating. So Nick, we're looking forwards 12, 18 months. What is on the roadmap for Zodia Markets, from products, from cross listings, from asset coverage? What are you really going to be focused on? And specifically, what's the role that Zodia Markets is going to play across this region?
I mean, well, first of all, as clients, we put clients at first in every consideration that we have internally. Most of our clients at the moment tend to be from the more crypto end of the spectrum. So they're exchanges and they're brokerages. And they're looking for funds, cash particularly, to be able to move as quickly and as seamlessly with the same availability as the tokens, the crypto assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and things like that, that they're trading or labeling their clients to trade on their platform. What works for those customers are the same tools and have the same appeal they would to maybe a large multinational corporate. So that's focusing particularly on funds in motion. So our focus over the course of the next year or so is going to be on funds at rest. So we're looking to try to get a security token license here in ADGM, to focus on providing yield-based solutions, where people can sweat their assets and put their cash to work, number one. And then number two is also focusing very heavily on corporates, because that's where we think there's going to be a lot more adoption in stablecoins and digital assets, stablecoins particularly, compared with perhaps financial services. Your average commodity broker is dealing with cross-border trade and payment corridors that are very, very challenging. They're in emerging markets. And almost what better market than Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, which sits at the nexus of so much trade with major ports here, for example, huge oil and gas hubs, et cetera, et cetera. So we think that we're going to see quite significant adoption there. And that's going to take us into hopefully a very large number of markets and see our fortunes prosper.
Amazing. Well, that is a super exciting outlook. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us today at FinTech TV. Over to you guys.